Hey everybody, I'd like to show you my pedal board setup with the PBC controller. This is, I guess you would say it's version 2.4 or something, maybe 2.5. I've gone through a few different revisions, but this is a major overhaul from the last video that I showed you, and I have refined the use of the PBC a lot more since the last time, but I would like to show you the board and some of the changes that I've made. Okay, so we'll start here. This is the whole board. I will kind of show you this kind of a signal flow. Sorry, that was the chair. I'll show you some of the signal flow here. So the guitar goes in to this guy right here, input. What this box is, this is made by the guys at Goodwood Audio in Australia. They are awesome. They make great stuff. You know, they make junction boxes. This one, they make Audition boxes, which is under here, which I'll show you in a minute. But this box, what it does, it's an input for my guitar. This little box does a bank up and bank down for the controller, but it also has a buffered tuner split. So the signal splits already right here. Goes in from the guitar, out of here, splits up into the Sonic Research Turbo Tuner, the mini one, which is really cool. It's super bright. I don't know if you can see that on there, but it's great for dark stages. And then that signal terminates there. Nothing, in other words, nothing's coming out the end. But the other split, the buffered split out of here, goes straight into the PBC, into the input. Now the way this works, this is a 10 loop looper, and you can configure it any way that you want. Now the way I have it is in loop number 1 right here. I have the Keeley compressor. In loop number 2 I have the full drive 2. Loop number 3 I have the sparkle drive. Loop number 4 I have the tube screamer. Loop number 5, I don't have anything right now. And then loop number 6, I have this little Audition box, which is under here, which you can't see the top of it. It says Audrey on top. This is another box from these guys here at Goodwood Audio. What this does, this Audition box, is it allows me to wire in a pedal, you know, say like over here on the side, if I want to audition it live. So that way I don't actually have to rewire anything on the board. I just plug that guy in. And it also has a power throughput. So I have power going into the other side of it. So I can just plug the pedal, you know, power supply right into there without having to have another, you know, janky power box or something like that. So that's in loop number 6. Right? I can engage that and disengage that at any time. And I have it set up to say Audrey on me, that way I know what I'm messing with. Loop number 7 is the DM2, which is, I love this pedal. This pedal's awesome. Loop number 8, I don't have anything in there right now. I used to have a Boss DD5 in there, but that may make its way back on the board. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. Loop number 9 is going to be the Strymon Timeline. And then loop number 10, which is the last loop, is going to be the Big Sky. And then once it goes through this last pedal here, the signal goes from here back into the PBC. All right, and then it splits out stereo. In stereo, one side goes directly to this output box, right? And the left side goes straight to my amp, which right now I'm using a Vox AC30. And then the right side, coming out of the PBC, goes out of here, up through here, and it hits this guy. This is the Tech 21 Flyrig 5. There it is, Flyrig 5. And it's awesome. It's basically an amp emulator. It has kind of like the old school Sans amp. It has a plexi side. And then it also has a built-in delay with some reverb, which I don't really use that. I just use the Sans amp and the plexi And what basically I use this as an amp modeler, and it gives me a kind of like a Marshall stack kind of feel, like a JCM 900 type feel to it. And then I run this out, I run this from output of this into this little junction box, right? And then the right side, through the right side, and then the right side goes directly into a DI box and then straight to the front of house PA, right? So I run an amp on one side and then direct signal from this guy basically into the other side. And then in the in-ears and in the front of house, our sound guy mixes the two amps together and it sounds awesome. It really sounds great. Now there's a couple technicalities I didn't mention about the PBC and a couple little signal routing. After loop number 6, right, the signal comes out of the PBC and it hits my volume pedal, which is basically after any overdrives. Then it goes out of the volume pedal back into the PBC and then runs through the delay and modulation effect side, right? Also this guy, this is an expression pedal. If you notice when I move it, this light right here on the timeline changes, right? And what that is I'm actually changing the spread and the depth of the delay modulation that I have set for that preset. And but the really cool thing is I don't have to connect this pedal to here. I connect it to the PBC expression jack, and then via MIDI under here, it goes MIDI into here, and the PBC can relay this information to this pedal to tell it what to do. The PBC also connects MIDI to both of the timeline and the big sky. And as I change presets for songs, you notice change when you see those reverbs changing there, and then also you'll see that delay change. And then this kind of just shows me my tap tempo right here. You notice it's the same as this one. And I can tap this to manually tap the tempo if I want to, but I don't usually do that because we usually do play to audio tracks and a click track. And the great thing is I preset all of my presets inside of this guy, which is the PBC editor, right? And so, for example, we're doing a song called Here in Your Presence, and I had to create some new presets tonight. You know, the intro of this song, I automatically set it up to 70 BPM, right? And then I choose, you know, which audio loops I want. So number 1, 2, 9, and 10 are what I have on right now. And then on the timeline, I can choose which, this PC number is basically just which bank I want on the timeline. So I have these already set up, and the same on the big sky. I have that one set up so I know which delay sound I want and which reverb sound I want. And so depending on what part of the song it's on, those can change. Sometimes they change, sometimes they don't. You know, on the solo section of Here in Your Presence, the delay, I have the reverb go to like a really short reverb, but I actually have the tempo double up to 140, right? So with the press of one button on the PBC over here, so let's go up here to Here in Your Presence. So I'm at the intro, so with the press of one button, hit this, go to the verse, and it turns on the compressor and it turns off the sparkle drive, and it sets my delay time to what I need it to be and the reverb setting to what I need it to be, all with pressing one button. And then same for whenever I go to the chorus, it'll rearrange any of my settings here. Now, to be clear, the PBC does not actually change the knobs on these pedals because these don't have that functionality. But what it does do is it brings them in and out of the audio signal. Now on these pedals, because these are MIDI controllable, it actually does change the knobs. The knobs don't physically move, but it changes the parameters inside. And so this will switch to an entirely different sound, different setting, depending where I'm at. If I switch to, you know, the solo section, if you notice, this guy starts flashing faster that guy starts flashing faster. So with one press, that was loud, sorry. With one press, I can change the tempo from 70 to 140. See that? And so without me having to change delay times or anything like that physically, I just press one button and my whole sound will change. And then, you know, whenever I hit the bridge section of the song, right, it goes back to 70. And now my sounds are all back to where they need to go. The reverb sound changes to what I need it to be at. So this guy really is just amazing. I love it. Now, let me show you this bank up, bank down. So whenever I hit up and down, these buttons used to do that, but I needed these for other things, so I had Goodwood make me this box here. So when I hit this up button right here, you'll notice the song changes and keep going up to the next song. So what I do is I start the first song, preset 1, which is the intro, then I run through all my presets for the song. So that's the intro, that's the verse, that's the chorus, you know, next verse, bridge, and these change. You know, sometimes this will be a verse, this will be a chorus, and I basically organize these through the timeline of the song. So you know, this might be the intro, and then, you know, some songs go straight to a chorus, or some songs may start on a chorus. So you know, have this one be chorus. But basically, I just make it to where, you know, as I'm running through the song, I start here and then I eventually end over here. And not every song, I don't always use 6 presets, but sometimes I do. But anyways, when I flip to the next song, I just hit this button right here. You'll watch it change. Now I'm back to the next song, Strong God. And if you notice, before I hit anything, it's flipping through my options, saying, okay, here's your options. You have intro, verse, verse 2, chorus. So I'll just start right here in option number 1. Changes the tempo, changes all my effects up here, everything, and I can start playing. Really what it comes down to is this guy allows me to have a very extensive effect setup, pedalboard setup, without having to do a lot of, you know, footwork, a lot of tap dancing. I can press one button at a time and just play guitar and not have to worry about anything. So it's really been a fantastic piece of gear. Let me show you just a real quick thing. You know, when I hit a button here, I'm in a preset, right? But say I want to look at the details of that preset. If I hit this loops button, these change and they tell me which loops are engaged. So 1 and 2 are engaged, and 9 and 10 are engaged. Now, these are blue, that means they're on. These are red, that means they're off. Black means they're not even being used. And purple means that these actually run in what we call parallel. Parallel is kind of hard to describe, it's easier to hear. But basically what that means is, I'll actually be running this guy in parallel. And then one, I think, yeah. If you hold it down, it turns it into parallel. But what that means is the signal splits before it gets to loop 7, and then you have a dry signal going all the way to the end, right? And then your affected signal travels alongside of it instead of after it. Again, it's a weird concept to describe, but it's definitely audible. But I love it, and I kind of change my mind depending on what songs and what I'm doing, whether or not I'm using, you know, parallel or series is what, you know, the regular option is called. And you know, basically it all just kind of depends on what I'm doing. So how easy, there's no like right or wrong way. It just, you know, kind of depends on what sound you're going for, what you're wanting to do. So when I'm in this mode, I can, you know, if I want to edit this, I can take this off, and if I want to save that, I just hold this down and it saves that change that I just made, right? If I just want to get back to my preset mode, hit that, and now back into my preset, I can keep moving along through the song. So it's really nice if I'm in a rehearsal and I'm like, oh man, I don't like that sound, I want to change out, you know, this pedal sound for this pedal sound. I can just do that really quickly right here with my feet, and, you know, not have to worry about actually like going into the computer and doing all that. I also have a USB cable coming off of this guy, and it runs into the computer. And while I'm playing live, I have a USB extension that runs up to where my computer sits. And the reason I do that is because at our church, I actually am the music director and I control Ableton Live. If you've used Ableton Live, this looks familiar to you, but what that is it lets us run audio tracks while also playing with them, but we run them in time. That way when we're playing with them, we're playing perfectly. You know, you hear that click track going in.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
So I needed to find a solution to where, you know, I had a separate controller. Well, first I was just doing it with my finger, like just pressing the button, which doesn't work when you're trying to play guitar. And then I bought this second controller that like sat next to my pedal board. I could do that, but it's just more tap dancing around, you know, between the pedal board and this guy. And so I figured out that the PBC, not only does it control, you know, taking audio loops, but these buttons are completely customizable. So what I did was I created these two buttons right here to be MIDI control buttons. So for each song that I'm on, like when I start Lion and the Lamb, this button is my Ableton start. So watch, when I hit this button, Ableton starts.
Intro.
Right? And if I want to stop it, I just hold it down.
Intro.
And it stops. But there's always, you know, sometimes, there's not always sometimes, but like occasionally, you know, the band, you know, we can get off of the tracks, and it doesn't happen that often, but this is more of a fail-safe, this button, and what this does is I call it like click only. So if we're, say the tracks are going, we're playing, and we're in the middle of a song, but then, you know, we accidentally get off, and when you get off, you can't keep the tracks going.
Intro,
so press
2,
this.
3, 4.
And it kills the tracks, but it just keeps the click track going. So that way we're still playing in time, but the audio tracks are no longer going. And then whenever I'm done with the song, I just hold that down to stop it. And then whenever I bank up, go to the next song, and hit start.
1,
It starts
2,
the tracks for the next song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's really as simple as on Ableton. You know, some people have asked me how to do this. You hit the MIDI button, right, and you hit the song you want to change, and then you press the button on the controller, and you'll see that number pop up. It's already there, but it says 1-4, and that's how you map it. Inside of the editing software for the PBC, you have to edit your buttons. It's a little bit more in depth, but if you want some help with it, reach out and I'd be happy to show you how. But basically I created this button here, and this is it's an IA MIDI button. I have it to control Ableton Live. It's a CC toggle, and you have to choose, you know, which CC number you want that to see. So if you see here, this song that I'm in, which is Here in Your Presence, is CC number 7. So when I go over here and Here in Your Presence, and I'm in my MIDI mapping mode, it's program change 1, CC change number 7. So that allows me to map these buttons to Ableton. It sounds complicated, but once you get it, it doesn't really take any time at all to make it happen. But what this allows me to do is it allows me to control the computer. It allows me to control everything that's happening with my guitar sounds, all from this one controller right here. This is probably the absolute best piece of gear that I've ever bought. It's the best investment that I've ever made because it allows me to do my job of playing guitar and directing the band while being able to have a great guitar sound and great, you know, pedal board setup that's, you know, fairly extensive, but it doesn't require my mind to be directly involved in this while I'm playing. I can be focused on playing guitar, and I can be focused on, you know, talking to the band if I need to do that, while, you know, when I need to make a change, I press one button and that's all I have to worry about. Whereas before I would have to, you know, okay, I gotta turn this one off, turn this one on, turn this one off, you know, change to bank C and bank C on that one, all for one part of a song, where now it's just one press and everything changes. So that's been a huge change for me, and it's really been gosh, it's been amazing. Ron over at RJM Music Technology, he's a great guy. If you buy a product from him and you ever have questions, he will go out of his way to help you. Just shoot him an email and he's on it. He's really great at responding to emails super fast. He knows this thing inside and out. He designed it. I think he may be a genius because this is truly amazing. I highly recommend this thing. But yeah, so this is my PBC pedal board setup 2.5, however many revisions I've been through, but this is the major overhaul from the last one I did. Now for power, I use the gig rig, which is this guy under here, and you just plug in a standard IEC cable. Plug that in right there, and everything comes to life. Now it's a little deceptive because this box goes into a bunch of these little guys. They're called isolators, and there's generators under these two, and they distribute power in distributors. Isolators, this is the generator, sorry. Then that goes into distributors underneath here, and then into the isolators, and it gives each pedal independent isolated power. And then for these require something like 500 milliamps, crazy power requirements, but they have these things called Time Lords that you plug into these guys, and it gives them the correct power. So basically this is a giant daisy chain of power that runs everything. And this little box right here generates 5,000 milliamps, which is 5 amps of power. So you have 5,000 milliamps to play with to power everything. So that's that's how I power it all. If you have any questions, or if you'd like some more in-depth details about some stuff, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If if you want some help with how to program the PBC, or maybe with Ableton, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, or my email is jeremy@springfirst.org. Feel free to email me there. I'd be happy to help you. We can FaceTime, or we can do everything via email or whatever. But I'd be happy to help you with some of this. There's also a lot of great videos on YouTube. Search the YouTube. There's a lot of great tutorials on how to do a lot of this stuff. Really what it comes down to is setting this up to make it good for you, because everybody's workflow is different, everybody's playing style is different, everybody's needs are different. So there's not one right way. My setup doesn't look anything like anybody's that I've seen. It's pretty unique to me. But once you learn the capabilities of the device, you can really set it up to be unique to you, to help you do what you need it to. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.